Hey everybody, my name is Zach, and this is the long-awaited return of Wrestling My Thoughts. Took some much-needed time off to get the stream right, get everything else good. Just gonna refocus. Sometimes you gotta. I know I've said this before. Sometimes you just gotta basically recharge the batteries. Um, but we're good to go, ready to rock and roll. Before I get into WWE WrestleMania Backlash, I will just let you guys know that the lives are now going to be on pay per view Saturday or Sunday. Monday night for Monday Night Raw, Wednesday for AEW Dynamite, and then Friday for SmackDown and Rampage. Now, give everybody a couple minutes to just kind of get get in. For those of you who are gonna join up tonight, so let's give them just a minute here. Wish we had some like Jeopardy music or something. That'd be dope. One day for sure. And it was definitely a really, really good show tonight too. So, all right, we'll go ahead, just jump right in. Now, this show, I do want to say, it far exceeded my expectations, personally. Um, and with any pay per view, especially WWE lately, a lot of people were clowning it due to the lack of volume on the card. There was only maybe like 6 matches or so. Actually, now that I think about it, 6 matches total. There was one title match, and a good, I want to say, 4 out of the 6 matches were WrestleMania rematches. But it's okay with wrestling. Sometimes you just gotta set the bar low, suspend your disbelief, and just have like super super low expectations. Um, and that's honestly that made this show so much more enjoyable. Absolutely. So I expected us to kick off with AJ Styles versus Edge. We instead kicked off with the Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins rematch. Again, they killed it, just like at WrestleMania, stole the show. WrestleMania Backlash was my favorite match. I would say it's easily match of the night. I do have some notes here, by the way. The two have excellent chemistry together, and it shows. It showed their match at Mania. They've been working the house show circuit since then, and it showed again tonight. Their matches just flow really smoothly. No botching. They just kind of go through their stuff and then build to the finish, and very standard. I see Rollins finally getting the win at Hell in a Cell, which is June 5th, the next WWE, I guess, premium live event, as they're called. Cody did pick up the win here tonight um, with the roll up, not with Crossroads, not with the Cody Cutter. He even teased a vertebreaker and a pedigree at one point. So yeah, they were just going all over the place. But yeah, I definitely don't think this is over, this feud. I do see Rollins at least getting one win by some dirty tactics, of course. Which, I mean, sign me up. I'm always good to see these two go at it. Next on the card, we had Omos with MVP in his corner this time, taking on Bobby Lashley. This match was better than the WrestleMania match, just because it had better pacing. Omos you can tell he's starting to learn the art of pacing in a match. Moving too fast causes you to mess up. You can tell Omos is definitely under the MVP learning tree. It's helping him, I think, greatly. They just, in general, seemed a little smoother, a little more comfortable with each other. Other than that, not too much to write home about, if you will. Omos got the pin there with the choke bomb in less than 10 minutes. I wouldn't be shocked if they ran it back at Hell in a Cell, maybe even in a gimmick match. I hope they don't put those two inside the cell, just because WWE loves, as they call, rubber matches, if you will. Lashley got the win, of course, at Mania. Omos got the win in the rematch tonight. So I see them going at it again at Hell in a Cell. This time, Omos gets the decisive blow-off win, if you will. The next match on Backlash was AJ Styles versus Edge with Damian Priest banned from ringside. If you're a wrestling fan like me, the second they had that stipulation where Priest was banned from ringside, you knew something was up. You knew we were likely getting the next person who's involved in Edge's Judgment Day stable. And that's exactly what we got here. But before I get to that, a couple notes about the match here. The two wrestled a very methodical type of match, which definitely isn't for everyone because it's more of a slow-paced type match, but they're more technical. They focus on certain body parts, stuff like that. I personally enjoy it. And Randy Orton tends to wrestle this style a lot too, which he has gotten the stigma of being boring. Not for me personally, but I've definitely seen it around on the internet. They wrestled more of a story within the match as opposed to high spots or numerous near falls. And that's by no means a knock on anybody. That's just the style that these two particular guys wrestled during this match. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fantastic match. I'll even go so far as to say phenomenal. Edge ended up getting the win on AJ via submission after he locked AJ in the crossface. AJ then passed out as Edge transitioned it into more of a sleeper hold. Edge was able to get him in the crossface because, if I can backtrack a little, Damian Priest did end up at ringside. He came walking down, but Finn Balor came out and took out Priest. Someone then appeared from under the ring, dressed all in black with kind of a covering over their head, so we couldn't see who it was. AJ was on the top rope at the time, but this person shoved AJ off while the ref was distracted with Priest and Balor. That's when Edge took advantage, put him in the crossface, transitioned to the sleeper, got the win via submission. After the match, this person got in the ring and bowed the knee to Edge. Edge told him to rise. And then the hood came off, revealing none other than Rhea Ripley. And I know I've said this on the show before. I called Priest, Rhea, and Ciampa 2 out of 3. So super stoked. When the hood came off, Rhea now, instead of her kind of dirty blonde hair, she's got jet black hair, slicked back now, all dark makeup. She looks absolutely perfect for the Judgment Day stable and has me super excited just because there's a lot of opportunities now for not just the faction, but for the feud between AJ and Edge. It looks like we could be getting AJ, Finn, and Liv Morgan against Edge, Priest, and Rhea, which in all honesty should be a Raw main event. Probably at Hell in a Cell, though, if we're being honest. I still see Ciampa joining, which could then set up an 8-man tag with AJ, Finn, Ali, and Liv taking on Edge, Priest, Ciampa, and Rhea. If they really want to stretch it, I mean, 6 months till Survivor Series, you're a couple members on each team shy of a Survivor Series match. My whole thing is with rematches, honestly, if I can go on a tangent for a second, I'm okay with multiple rematches as long as it makes sense for the story, as long as there's some sort of progression going on. And that's what we had here with Edge and AJ. The story's been moving. It hasn't just been a rematch for the sake of a rematch, if that makes sense. There's been an acceleration of the story with each match. Of course, obviously here we have a new member added to the Judgment Day faction. We also have a couple of like loose ends going everywhere. It's keeping us interested as wrestling fans. Well, myself for sure. Like I'm excited to watch Raw tomorrow to see where we're headed. Just because, like I said, it can go in any certain number of ways for sure. Rhea joining Judgment Day is exactly what her career needed. I'm not going to go off the deep end and say that her career was stagnant or that she had gotten boring or had no direction. I personally was interested in the tag team with Liv. I thought they were very entertaining. I thought they had a lot of potential. I even expected them to win the tag titles at one point at WrestleMania even. So I wouldn't say that she was stagnant, but I mean, it's definitely a rejuvenation. Feels like rejuvenation, the fact that she's joining up with Edge. And she fits the role perfectly. Back when she was first in NXT UK, she played a heel so fantastically. And it's just been a bummer that we haven't really gotten to see the full extent of that since she's been on the main roster. So hopefully with her joining up with Edge, we get to see a little more of that heelish side. She definitely has the look for sure. After the match, I did happen to see on Twitter that Liv Morgan posted a pic of herself wearing an NWO shirt as she was doing the too sweet pose. So I definitely think that's some foreshadowing there. And that was actually while I was doing my podcast research before I jumped on here. So I was lucky to even catch that. Just decided to scroll through Twitter one more time. Happened to see it. So yeah, that definitely lends to what I just mentioned about the fact that we've got a lot of opportunities with this story. So for those of you who are Edge and AJ are slow, they're boring, Edge is too old, he's not who he used to be. Got to use this instead of just these. You know what I mean? Slow and steady wins the race, if you will. No, but yeah, to just kind of put a bow on that whole thing, we'll just have to stay tuned, see which route they decide to take, and the number of different twists and turns that this road has. Um, Next up, we had the I Quit match for the SmackDown Women's Championship between champion Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey. This one, and this is a point that I've made offline numerous times with bunch of different of my wrestling buddies and family members who watch. Predictable in wrestling isn't always bad. Sometimes, of course, it's kind of like eye roller, like okay, yeah, I saw that coming, whatever. But that's the thing with Backlash, with WrestleMania Backlash, I guess you could say. Sometimes predictable is good. Predictable is the right result sometimes, and or a lot of the times. I'll even venture to say, with this I Quit match, we all were like 95% certain Ronda was going to win the title here. Why they didn't belt her at WrestleMania, I don't know. I'm not uncreative, couldn't tell you. Obviously, it would make sense to give the mainstream star the big win at Mania. Why they didn't, I don't know. But of course, Ronda defeated Charlotte. She made Charlotte finally scream, I quit, after she locked her in an armbar, assisted by a chair. She had Charlotte's arm wrapped in the middle of the chair, even wrenched on the arm to where it had me kind of honestly cringing. It looked pretty rough. That happened after Charlotte told Ronda Happy Mother's Day, which, set Ronda off, of course. As far as the match itself, it was brutal and violent, yet somewhat technical, and equal parts stiff, if that makes any sense to anyone watching. They brought out numerous weapons. They brought out kendo sticks, chairs, fought through the crowd, threw each other against the guardrail. So it was definitely brutal. Yet there was a period in the match where they were wrestling a more technical kind of style, which was cool to see. Both styles kind of mashing there. Both women did really well at doing almost literally whatever it took to make the other one quit. They had that intense big fight feel. I loved how it seemed like they were working stiff. That showed me that they were working hard to make it seem like they genuinely hated each other, which was awesome. You don't see a lot of that these days. And who knows? I mean, they just well might hate each other. They for the sake of knowing that this is scripted, and assuming that they don't really hate each other, they did a good job of making the tone of the match seem very intense. Even after the match, Kayla Braxton backstage reported that Charlotte has suffered a fractured radius. Who, for those of you that don't know, it's your wrist. Basically, she's saying Charlotte fractured a broken wrist. I was able to confirm through Fightful.com that Charlotte is not legitimately hurt, that she's just planning on taking some time off. Believable storyline. Not sure who Ronda is going to defend the SmackDown Women's title against, though, because other than Charlotte, SmackDown's kind of lacking. I did post on Twitter that if Charlotte retained, that I thought Bayley would be the next choice up, and maybe Bayley's going to be up for Ronda. Maybe we still get heel Bayley, who before Bayley unfortunately went down with injury, she was at her peak of being a heel. Just awesome stuff with the Hello Ding Dong. I feel like I got that name wrong, but yeah, with her talk show deal, just good stuff. So I'd be down for Ronda and Bayley. I don't think they've fought yet since Ronda first joined WWE. I don't think so. So I'd be down for that. Our fifth match of the card was, and no disrespect to these two, because they did as well as they could with the time they were given. The fifth match on the card was our cool down match between the two main events. We had Madcap Moss defeating Baron Corbin with a roll up. It was okay. Like I said, it wasn't great. I wouldn't call it bad either. It was just kind of like, all right, it was entertaining enough. Whether we like the feud or not, though, Madcap Moss is super over. I know they were in Providence, Rhode Island. I mean, you compare that with like Chicago or even to go dramatic, Madison Square Garden. I mean, I know two entirely different sized markets, but he's getting the crowd reactions wherever they're going. He's getting big pops. So they seems like backstage they love Madcap Moss. The fans definitely love him. So I mean, let's make the best of it and just see what happens. I don't think this feud's over because obviously their first match, Corbin got surprised with the roll up. Pretty sure we're gonna get a rematch at the Cell, not inside the Cell, at the Cell pay-per-view. Which leads us to the night's main event. I have a ton of notes for this match. The six-man tag team match between the Bloodline, which for those of you who don't know, consists of Roman Reigns and the Usos, going against Drew McIntyre and the Raw Tag Team Champions, RK Bro, Randy Orton and Riddle. To put it bluntly, this was awesome. Pun intended. Crowd was so hot for the entire match. I loved Roman tagging in to like he was gonna finally get into the match, get his stuff in, throw down, and then he just immediately tags back out. Doesn't do anything, just tags out, just like, nah, I'm not ready yet. It's on my time, kind of a thing. I thought it was hilarious. So did Pat McAfee, who's my favorite commentator. So it was just funny, just because you just tell just Roman's been next level throughout this entire head of the table run, to where he's just feeling himself. He's just super confident. He does what he wants when he wants. No one's going to tell him otherwise. That's just how that goes. Creative's done an excellent job also of building McIntyre versus Roman as the big marquee match. I definitely want to see it. Granted, even though that's pretty much all that's left on SmackDown for Roman in terms of a viable, legitimate, credible threat to take the title or titles, Creative's done a good job. They've built Drew versus Roman as the immovable object versus I forget how the rest of that goes. It's been a long day. Versus the Icon, we'll say. I can see it happening inside the Cell, but they are going to need a main event for the big stadium show in Wales at Clash of the Castle. Drew could very well be the one to dethrone Roman, and it might just be for the Universal Championship. I have heard reports from various sources of Creative wanting to split up the main event titles again sooner rather than later. So definitely keep an eye on that. And I do feel that Cody is going to win Money in the Bank, to break off on another tangent, because that's what we do here. Cody's going to win Money in the Bank. And because his kind of mission statement the night after Mania was that he wants to win the WWE Championship, since that's the title his father never won, I do think he's going to challenge Roman just for that belt, if Roman still has both belts by then. But we'll have to see. The finishing sequence, anyway, was of the six-man tag, was the best on WWE in a long time. It was just great. It helped that the crowd was just freaking electric. Like, go back and watch this match. It was crazy. There were RKOs everywhere. Roman even outsmarted Riddle by tagging, I believe it was Jimmy Uso's leg, as Jimmy jumped off the top for a splash. Riddle didn't even see Roman get tagged in, and then Roman just laid Riddle out with a spear and got the pin. And it was crazy. Roman had put McIntyre through the announce table beforehand. Randy RKO'd Roman. Roman hit Randy with the Superman punch on the outside. It was just madness. It was just a brawl to where everyone just kind of threw tags out the window until the very end. It was great. I would give it honestly 4.5 stars out of 5. One of the better main events we've seen all year in WWE. And that just goes to show, again, the whole theme of this episode is suspending your disbelief. When you don't set your expectations at every single match being a 6-star out of 5 match every single time, you're able to just enjoy the show. And I'm not here to talk anybody into changing their opinions or anything. just how I personally feel. It's the kind of narrative I've adopted as a wrestling fan since I started watching back in, oh God, WrestleMania 2000. It's been, sheesh, 22 years already. And I've had that same mindset the entire time. And that's why I like to say that I can't quit wrestling, just because I just enjoy it. I'm able to just sit back, relax, and just enjoy it for what it is. And that's how WrestleMania Backlash was this time. I didn't expect anything from the show due to the number of rematches on the card, the lack of title matches, et cetera, so on and so forth. But the show over-delivered, which is always a very good thing. Most important part is that WWE's definitely got momentum going into Hell in a Cell and these stadium shows coming up. We've got Money in the Bank at Allegiant Stadium in Vegas, where the Raiders play, for you NFL fans. After that, we have SummerSlam, July 30th, and I believe it's called Nissan Stadium in Nashville, where the Titans play. And then after that, we've got Clash at the Castle, which, let me double check. I believe I said earlier it was at Wales. I just want to be sure, because I mean, we spit facts here. So, okay, yep, Cardiff, Wales at Principality Stadium, September 3rd. So that's consecutive pay-per-views. After Hell in a Cell, the next 3 consecutive pay-per-views are all going to be in a big stadium. Definitely need momentum. Got to drive those ticket sales. Got to have those big marquee matches and make people want to watch, and you got to pull them in. They definitely got that momentum. They personally made me want to watch Raw tomorrow and SmackDown Friday just to see what happens next, which creatively is really the main goal if you think about it, to keep the viewer drawn in, to keep them wanting more, and then paying off that big angle at the very end when the time's right. Overall, I'd give Backlash, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. If you suspend your disbelief, if you go into it with no expectations, just wanting to sit down and watch some good wrestling, you're going to like Backlash. Every match was good. Some were great. I'd give Cody and Rollins at least 4 stars. Ronda and Charlotte, I'd give 4 stars. AJ and Edge, I'd give 4. And then, of course, the main event, I'd give 4.5, maybe 5, honestly. But, yeah, all in all, really, really good show. I'm going to be jumping back on here tomorrow. I'll be releasing some info soon on some merch. We're still working on it. It's been kind of a struggle, just starting a brand, even a business. For those of you who are business owners that are watching this, it's a little difficult working out the kinks and just seeing what works, not just for your fans, not just for the people, your day ones, essentially, but also what works the best for yourself and what you're trying to accomplish. But it's coming. I promise it's coming. It will be coming soon. Other than that, follow me all on the socials. Wrestling My Thoughts on Instagram. Wrestling My Thoughts on Twitter. Facebook, Zach Rubio. I don't mind wrestling fans add me. I'm always down to talk wrestling. I can talk wrestling for hours. If you have any questions, just at me. Other than that, though, one thing I did want to share on Twitter, and this doesn't really have anything to do with Backlash, but it was so freaking hilarious. And I just went ahead, for anyone watching, I just went ahead and posted the link in the comment section. I'll be posting it on my socials for those of you who weren't able to catch this live. So as we know, for anyone who's been watching Raw, Mustafa Ali is back, and it looks like he's feuding with United States champion Theory. Ali posted a video, and this needs to be on television. This is the funniest thing I've seen in wrestling in a long, long time. I was cracking up. Basically, what it is okay. So it's like a Fox News segment. It's like a news show where Ali's dressed as like a news anchor. He says there was a poll taken recently where Theory's approval rating was shown to be at an all-time low, and that the WWE Universe prefers Theory as much as they prefer explosive diarrhea. The news reporter, Ali, then cuts to field reporter Chet Reed, who is Ali just dressed up with like a gray wig and a mustache. So Chet was interviewing different members of the WWE universe on what they thought about Theory, which the members of the WWE universe were just Ali dressed as different types of characters. He was dressed up as like a construction worker, a cowboy type, and even a grandma at one point. And it was just funny. Just all of them were just putting over Ali. It's not gonna sound as funny just me explaining it. You just have to watch it. It's oh god, it's so freaking funny. But yeah, I'll go ahead and post that on my socials as well, so you guys can check it out. Good stuff. I've watched it like 3 times and it doesn't get old. So, other than that though, I want to thank everyone for all the support. Wrestling My Thoughts is back being consistent. So Tuesday for NXT, Thursday for Impact Wrestling, and yep, that's it. Tuesday and Thursday will be audio only. They'll be on Spotify. I'll go ahead and post the link once it's recorded on the social media. So definitely be sure that you are following those pages, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I've also decided I'm going to be doing live reactions on Twitter, just posting just different tweets and my thoughts of what's going on. If you follow me on Twitter, you can see that I posted a lot of stuff going on during WrestleMania Backlash. I'll be doing that as often as I can, for sure tomorrow during Raw. I'm not sure the rest of the week, time permitting. Hoping during Wednesday Dynamite, but we'll see. Yeah, other than that, I think that's about it. That's about all we've got for this episode. Thanks for watching Wrestling My Thoughts. I have been and will forever be Zach Rubio, and we will see you guys tomorrow night for Monday Night Raw.